Complete what you begin. Your nervous system operates on a reward circuit. Every time you see something through to completion, washing that final plate, hitting send on an email, pushing through that last set, your brain releases dopamine, the chemical that drives motivation. That release teaches your system that finishing feels good, programming it to seek that sensation again. Most people never tap into this because they bail midway, chasing simpler hits that deliver instant gratification without the work. The brain learns that quitting feels safer than pushing through, and the pattern locks in. Why would your brain bother with difficult tasks when it can get the same chemical reward from scrolling? Change the game by closing loops, even small ones. Train your system that effort delivers a bigger payoff than escape. Completion becomes addictive in itself. It doesn't need to be massive, just something with a clear endpoint. 10 pages of reading, that final rep. Each small victory rewires the circuit. Eventually, your brain stops seeking the comfort of quitting and starts hunting for the satisfaction of done. Most of you won't finish this entire script. Some already checked out. That proves how even constant stimulation with voice and movement isn't enough to hold attention anymore. Your brain's baseline has shifted. Make your rest mundane. People destroy their focus during what they call downtime. They grind through an hour of moderately engaging work, then flood their system with extreme stimulation during breaks. Rapid scrolling, gaming, eating processed junk. Then they expect to return to focus, as if their brain didn't just get hijacked. Your dopamine baseline just skyrocketed. That's the chemical behind drive and motivation. Now your brain will only feel motivated for activities that match the intensity of scrolling, gaming, or eating garbage. Good luck finding any meaningful work that competes with that rush. The next task can't match the spike you just gave yourself, so your system starts avoiding it. The solution isn't eliminating breaks. Change how you spend them. Keep your rest unstimulating. Walk around, stretch, stare out a window, make tea. Give your mind space to reset instead of drowning it in noise. When your downtime stops overloading your senses, returning to work feels natural. You might even feel pulled back to it. Single task everything. Your brain wasn't designed to juggle multiple activities. Every time you switch, checking messages mid-task, glancing at notifications, jumping between tabs, you force your mind to restart the entire focus sequence from scratch. That restart drains time, but worse, it kills flow. This connects back to completing what you start. Multitasking feels productive because your hands stay busy, but cognitively, it's a disaster. Your attention fragments and deep thinking becomes impossible. The fix is straightforward, but not simple. When you eat, just eat. You don't need a video playing at every meal. When you work, stay locked on one thing and check your phone after. Try this. Use the bathroom without your phone. Stop trying to blend everything into one continuous stream of half attention. Single tasking rebuilds the neural pathways that create flow states, that rare zone where time vanishes and effort feels effortless. That's the optimal condition for tackling difficult things, and it can't happen while you're scrolling through garbage between paragraphs of your assignment. The 2-minute entry. Starting is always the hardest barrier. Your brain inflates how painful a task will be, so it convinces you to wait for motivation, trapping you in procrastination. The fix is absurdly simple. Lower the barrier to entry. Tell yourself you'll just do it for 2 minutes. Write 1 sentence. Stretch for 1 song. Clean 1 room. That tiny action tricks your system into crossing the line from thinking to doing. Once you've started, the resistance evaporates and momentum carries you forward. Most of the time, you'll continue way past 2 minutes without even noticing. You don't need to commit to the entire thing, just the first step. This isn't about rushing through or only working for 2 minutes. It's about proving to your brain that starting isn't dangerous. Once you're in motion, continuing is easy. Eliminate cheap hits. Most of you won't cut out all cheap dopamine sources, so I've got an alternative in the next section. But if you're willing to eliminate all forms of easy dopamine, your brain will rewire rapidly and start craving difficult work almost immediately. Think about the logic. You remove everything that delivers cheap dopamine. Your phone, games, streaming platforms, processed food, nicotine, anything that spikes your system without effort. Then the only way your brain can possibly get dopamine is through doing something challenging, which is why you're here. But most people won't eliminate everything, so here's the alternative. Front-load your day. Every morning when you wake up, your dopamine levels have generally reset. Your baseline is neutral. This can work for you or against you, and most people use it against themselves. The second they open their eyes, they're on social media, scrolling in bed, which creates a massive dopamine spike right at the start. Then they try to work or study or do something difficult, which releases far less dopamine because their brain wants to keep increasing the levels it's releasing. The boring hard work can't compete. This makes focus nearly impossible. You'll feel restless, frustrated, and your attention will scatter constantly. Here's how to use it correctly. When you wake up, focus on what needs to be done rather than what feels good. Wake up, shower, and get straight into work or studying or whatever task matters. As the day progresses, maintain this low dopamine state, which actually feels elevated because your baseline hasn't been destroyed. Only at the end of your productive hours, when you're done with challenging tasks, load in the high dopamine, low-effort activities like scrolling and junk food. If that's confusing, here's the simple version. Start your day with low dopamine tasks and gradually move toward high dopamine tasks. That way, your baseline stays stable or rises throughout the day instead of crashing. Shift to growth orientation. Most people work hard for an outcome that arrives after the work is complete. Maybe it's money or social validation, which is fine. But working hard purely for a reward that comes later makes the work more difficult and can discourage you from engaging with hard work again. Switch to a growth mindset. Put yourself in the frame of pursuing improvement, rewarding the hard work and effort along the way, instead of only celebrating the final result. View the hard work itself as valuable, even though it might feel uncomfortable in the moment. This simple mindset shift allows your brain to release dopamine when you're facing challenges or experiencing friction. But this is impossible when you're only focused on the goal or reward at the end. When you can connect pain, difficulty, and friction to an internal reward system, even if it's just self-pride, you'll start accessing dopamine release during the actual hard work, not just after achieving the reward. This makes the work more enjoyable, less painful. You become more efficient at the task and more likely to repeat it. So when you're doing something hard, be grateful it's hard and keep pushing. Hard work is where the real rewards live. Avoid stacking spikes. Most people don't realize how much they overload their reward circuits. Some think crushing pre-workout, blasting loud music, and doing intense exercise is perfect for them. While it might boost your workout and body, this is dopamine stacking, where you layer multiple dopamine-releasing activities on top of each other. While it might help during that specific task, afterward you'll experience a dip in your baseline. Not only that, if you ever try to work out without the music and pre-workout, you'll be far less motivated to actually do the work because your brain won't have those extra dopamine hits. This can be useful. You can stack a dopamine-releasing task with a hard task you're avoiding, tricking your brain into releasing dopamine and motivating you to do work you didn't want to do. Dopamine stacking becomes dangerous when people watch TV, scroll on their phone, and eat processed food simultaneously, then wonder why they can't focus on less stimulating tasks. If that's you, stop it if you want any hope of doing hard work. Seek difficulty intentionally. Your brain only strengthens when it's stressed. Every time you avoid something challenging, skipping a cold shower, dodging a tough workout, avoiding an uncomfortable conversation, you teach your brain that comfort equals safety and discomfort equals threat. But your nervous system learns through exposure, not avoidance. When you deliberately choose something hard, you trigger a mild stress response. Heart rate climbs, adrenaline surges, but after completing it, your body releases dopamine and serotonin as a reward for overcoming that stress. Over time, your brain starts associating effort with relief. That's the entire point of discipline conditioning, to make discomfort familiar. You don't need to become superhuman. You just need consistency. Lift heavier than comfortable a few times a week. Speak up when you'd rather stay silent. Wake up when it's the absolute last thing you want to do. Every deliberate challenge sends your brain the same message. We can handle this. Eventually, it stops resisting hard work and starts seeking it. Turn work into a game. This won't work for everyone, but turning hard work into a game is a powerful way to make difficulty easier. Your brain loves games because games make progress visible. You can track points, see advancement, and get rewarded for action, not just final outcomes. This links back to the growth mindset concept. Hard work often feels abstract and endless, so your brain doesn't know when to celebrate. Fix that by turning your work into a system that mimics game reward loops. Keep score of how many small tasks you can complete in a set time. Then reward yourself for beating your record or race against the clock. Assign yourself levels and missions instead of vague goals like be productive. Each small win releases a burst of motivation, reminding your brain that progress feels rewarding. The trick is making the challenge difficult enough to stay engaging but achievable enough to stay rewarding. If you can gamify every area where you want improvement, you'll advance rapidly. Collaborate with others. Hard work spreads between people. Your brain mirrors the behavior of whoever surrounds you. This is a built-in mechanism called social mirroring. If you spend time with people who focus intensely, delay gratification, and take pride in effort, your nervous system copies that rhythm automatically. The opposite is equally true. When you're around constant distraction, your brain normalizes avoidance, and you'll struggle to accomplish anything. Working alongside others creates shared pressure, shared standards, and subtle accountability. There's a natural human instinct to not appear lazy. If you're sitting with 3 hardworking people and you're scrolling while eating chips, you'll feel lazy, which your body will naturally use as motivation to do the work. Even silent co-working changes your output because your brain interprets others' focus as a signal to match it. Humans evolved to perform best in groups where effort meant survival. Surround yourself with people who treat discipline seriously, and your brain will naturally view hard work as part of belonging and surviving. Reset your baseline. This concept has been everywhere across social media recently, and most people don't actually understand what it does. The world is engineered so you can access endless stimulation instantly. A dopamine reset is a short-term recalibration for your stimulation and dopamine baseline. It allows you to step back from the constant overstimulation of modern life and think more clearly about what you want and how to achieve it. You're essentially removing all artificial dopamine sources: processed food, caffeine, scrolling, video games, everything. So your brain starts generating dopamine and motivation from natural sources, like working on something challenging, making progress, and simple daily activities. The first few days will be brutal. Your brain will desperately search for a quick hit. But once you push through a few days, something shifts. Silence starts feeling pleasant instead of triggering panic for stimulation. Your focus returns and you start appreciating small things like basic movement. Essentially, during a reset, you recalibrate your baseline for dopamine and rewire what your brain rewards you for, shifting it from instant gratification sources to meaningful sources that actually improve your life. The one thing you absolutely cannot do is immediately return to all the artificial sources after completing a reset. That's the time for tackling hard things. If there's only one thing you take from this, let it be this. If you're trying to do hard things, make sure you do the hard things before the easy, or you're going to make the hard thing even harder.